Blog Talk Radio.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all ages, from Covington, Oklahoma, at South Monroe Street, school is now in session with your on. And here is your teacher and host, Sean Stopp.
Good evening, Blog Talk Radio listeners. To You're On. I am your host, Sean Stopp, and welcome to a very special Thunder edition of You're On. Class is here by now in session, and as we speak, the Oklahoma City Thunder is taking on the San Antonio Spurs with Game 5, with the Thunder leading 3-2 on TNT Live at the Oklahoma City Chesapeake Arena. I'll get more into that Thunder game in just a minute with the Thunder Report as well as tonight's guest, Covington's very own Becky Reinhardt of Dairy Sweet. So let's throw some formalities out of the way first with class starting. To visit our website, check us out at www.wix.com/Sean Stopp, all one word, /You're On. You can also follow us at Twitter, /You're On with Sean, all one word. And if you'd like to call in, our number is 347-633-9630. That's 347-633-9630. And there's a couple things I need to get out of the way real quick. For starters, if you or somebody you know is going to be celebrating a birthday, give us a shout-out here, and we will do our best to make sure that we throw a birthday shout-out on the air. Now, this birthday is a friend of mine. We go back since high school. On June 30th, this Sunday, Perry Phillips will be celebrating his birthday, and that's the only birthday shout-out we have this week. So, Perry Phillips, here is your birthday shout-out.
It's your birthday. It's my birthday.
Very happy birthday to you, Perry. You and I, we go way back, don't we? And also, if you want to contact us via email, the email address is youronbtr@ymail.com. If you have any questions, any comments, any suggestions, any complaints, we'll do just that. And I got to tell you, I'm all about constructive criticism. And I got to tell you, I got to share this with you guys. I had a constructive criticism email, ironically enough, from a Grandview doozy. I say that because I'm not going to mention his name because I got better things to do than to promote, negativity on my show. But just out of interest, I'm going to go ahead and read this. Guys, cue it up, will you? Let's get something a little appropriate going here for this event. There you go. He says, Sean, you need to change the name of the show to the show, because I say a lot. I'm aware of that. Okay, guys, that's enough. Seriously. Thank you. I'm aware of that. I'm my worst critic. I know that I say a lot. But let me remind you, for starters, one, I don't get paid to do this. Okay, this is a hobby for me. Two, you've been obviously listening since our very first show on April 4th because this is like, I don't know how many emails you write me. And you're obviously still listening to the show. If you've noticed, I said it again, if you've noticed, my guests do the same thing, but I'm not so much worried about what they say or how they say it. It's the message they're getting across. I'm not so much worried about Dustin last week. Thank you very much, Dustin, last week, by the way, from One Up Paintball, for keeping me informed about laser tag. I thought they was all about paintball, and I learned something. The caller that called in, he learned something. The people out there that listen, they learned something, and that's the whole point of all this is learning something. I only pretend to be a teacher. I only pretend this is a classroom. I'm not saying I'm a teacher. That's why I intentionally misspell "you're on," okay, to show that I have faults. I have flaws, and I'm not perfect. Save that for the pros. So in saying that, Grandview Doozy, I'm going to issue out a challenge tonight. And this is just a downright dare, okay? If you've got the guts, call me, 347-633-9630. We'll talk about this. We'll air this dirty laundry out on the air, and we'll get through your issues. I mean, I'm not Delilah. We'll certainly work something out, but there you go. Your dare's been thrown out. I cross a line out in the dirt. I dare you to step across it. Seeing as how that's not going to happen, let's get into something a little bit more important, okay? And we'll start off by calling. Come here, Thunder. Thunder. That's a good boy. Good boy, Thunder. Yeah, okay, let's get into the Thunder report, okay? We'll talk about the last game, which in the fourth quarter was absolutely amazing with the final score of 108-103. Tonight, we're just one game away. At first, the Thunder was down 0-2 with insurmountable odds against Oklahoma, in which the media was ready to write them off against the San Antonio Spurs, who have, up until that point, not lost 20 games until the last smackdown that the Thunder laid upon the Spurs in their own backyard turf. And then there's tonight's game, as we speak, that's going on. And I got to tell you, folks, to pull myself away from that was difficult. The first quarter was literally Tony Parker of the Spurs and his beautiful spot-on shots versus Russell Westbrook and his beautiful dunk, which I believe that was at the 342. It was awesome, but of course there was a foul that was called on him, and because of radio purposes and FCC regulations and rules, I'll just say that that call could have fertilized the lawn. So the score was 63-48, and even at the halftime report, Charles Barkley even predicted the win for the Thunder. Then the focus was turning to Steven Jackson against Serge. And then, Durant at the first part, he scored his 14 points, and we're really proud of him as Thunder fans. In the third, it turned into a Westbrook-Jackson, one-on-one, if you would. And he's just about on his game plan about as much as Tony Parker is. Now, I'm not too sure about the foul on Harden at the 3:01 mark, but, when Perkins fouled at 2:18, I mean, come on. That was justifiable, But at the 146 at the third, with the Durant three-pointer, oh, my goodness, that's when I started, not wanting to pull myself away from this game. And I couldn't believe that Jackson missed the first free throw at the 123 mark. But literally the third quarter was Parker versus Westbrook. And at the last 21 seconds, I was really biting my nails. And right now, we're currently at 81-80 San Antonio. That was at the third, and then I had to start the show. But that's the Thunder report. Now on to another sport that Covington is very proud of, and that's our very own T-ball team, the Little Rascals. They had quite a week this week. They went up against Medford and won 18-4. And then Tuesday they went up against Garber, won that one 14-5. Now tomorrow they're supposed to go against Kremlin. However, with the weather being the way it is, that could be a maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But I'm so proud of our Covington Little Rascals. And in saying that, talking about the weather, it's currently 66 outside. Overnight it's going to drop down to 50. Tomorrow it's going to be high in the 79, low in the 52s. In saying that, I have yet to receive a phone call from the Grandview Doozy, and I seriously doubt that I will. Just don't see it. So let's get away from the negative, focus on the absolute positive by bringing in a very special guest tonight. She's local. She's the very first Covington resident that I've interviewed on my show because I've I've hit mainly Enid, stayed within the Garfield County area. I've hit Tahlequah, I've hit Bartlesville. But tonight, I get to finally hit the good old hometown of Covington. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce from Dairy Sweet, Becky Reinhardt. Becky, thank you very, 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 very much for coming on the show. Welcome to You're On.
Thank you.
It's good to have you on, Becky. More importantly, I got to tell you, when I first came through Covington, and keep in mind, folks, I've lived in Tahlequah. I've relocated to Tahlequah twice. I've moved to Okmulgee twice. I've lived in Bartlesville twice. I don't know what it is about the deuces, okay? And once again, I've moved to Covington twice. But I've only moved to Tulsa once. And in doing all that, you're thinking, gosh, you've been all over. You've been doing circles. You've been doing loops. I want to put roots down here. I really like it here. When I very first came in, my first impression is when did I get to Mayberry? Now, I don't say that in a negative way. I mean, you take all the crud that's going on in Tulsa, all the crud that's going on in Bartlesville. Sorry, Leotis, but it's true. And Enid even. I mean, I've take all that and then compare it to the small town of Covington. I mean, this is a paradise. I go to sleep to the train coming through at 2 in the morning, although I can't really say that about my neighbor's dog, but Covington's a great place. And when I first come through here, that's the first thing I noticed was Dairy Sweet. And, Becky, I'd like to hear your take on the Dairy Sweet and what it's meant to the community of Covington.
Well, the Dairy Sweet's always been here. Well, it's been here for years. And the building and the sign is what everybody compliments. And then, of course, the soft-serve ice cream. But it's just a historical part of Covington.
Most definitely. It's always been a cornerstone. And it's to my understanding, maybe you can back me on this, Becky, that there was a gentleman, a truck driver, that came all the way in from Wichita and come through our town just to try our ice cream.
Yes, he comes through about twice a week now.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Well, Becky, sadly enough, I saw a shirt, which, by the way, you need to hook me up with a shirt. I saw a Becky's Dairy Sweet shirt. I want a Becky's Dairy Sweet shirt now. I'll tell you what, I'll trade you a You're On T-shirt for a Becky's Dairy Sweet shirt.
Well, I have to see if I can find one.
That's awesome, Becky. Unfortunately, this is the sad part. I hit you just in time because it's to my understanding you'll be no longer with the Dairy Sweet when?
July 31st.
July 31st.
Yeah.
So anybody and everybody within an earshot that hasn't been to the Dairy Sweet yet, please come down and try the ice cream. I mean, you saw on my Facebook page the video I did and how I talked about how great the ice cream is. Yeah, sure, you got your Brahms. Okay, that's a big corporate. Yeah, it's good. You know, I'll give them that, but you guys ain't had nothing yet until you tried this. You guys got to come down and try this. And what gets me, this has always been the funny thing to me. I mean, not really funny, more like funny strange, but I understand why they do it. It's always been tradition that they close in November and then they open back up in the spring. I got to tell you, my son used to get really depressed about that, and the longer I stayed here, the more I'd get depressed about it. And Dairy Sweet seems to do a lot for the community as well because Halloween they did the little ice cream treats.
Yeah, we gave ice cream and Coke and then, of course, candy, but because you're always either thirsty or I remember them doing that when I was a child, and I said we will be doing that this year too because every year I look forward to going there. After you walk the town, you're thirsty, you want to go to the Dairy Sweet. So
oh, yeah.
I just kept the tradition.